Let's talk about the end of the world, because TBH, who isn't thinking about that right now? Between the climate chaos, AI doing its best Skynet from Terminator impression, and billionaires shooting themselves into space like they're trying to skedaddle from Earth because they know something we don't. It feels like we're living in a trailer for a movie that I don't want to go see because it looks kind of depressing. Starring Timothée Chalamet. And to be clear, humans have always been obsessed with the end. It's not a new thing. We've been prophesying the apocalypse since we first figured out fire and immediately used it to start an argument. Every culture has a version of this is how it all goes to hell. And most of them end with a chosen few being saved while everyone else is left to perish in a firestorm or the Bronze Age equivalent of whatever that was. But it's not just about religion or science or bad vibes. It's about control. If you can predict the end, maybe you can avoid it, or at least capitalize on the merch. And whether you're a doomsday prophet with a very impressive beard or a billionaire prepping a Mars bunker with artisanal air, the goal is the same. Beat the clock, even if the clock is on fire. So in this episode, we're not picking out one theory about how it all ends. We're going full sampler platter, from the ancient texts to the cults with tragic countdowns to science's version of we're probably doomed, but here's a spreadsheet. And the tech bros treating Earth like a failed startup, because if the world's going to end, the least we can do is understand the Yelp reviews. Let's get into it. To kick off our apocalypse charcuterie, let's start with religion. So religion and the apocalypse. Name a more iconic duo. Humans have been writing the end of the world story since the dawn of time, and let's just say subtlety was never the goal. Christianity brings the full cinematic universe to the book of Revelation. Horsemen, trumpets, rivers of blood, and a cosmic Yelp review called Judgment Day. The good folks get beamed up in the rapture, and everyone else gets 7 years of what sounds like biblical-grade chaos mixed with plague season Las Vegas. Islam has its own apocalypse blueprint, featuring the Mahdi, the return of Jesus, the false Messiah, and a final judgment that's less about fire and more about divine math. Still ends with the world getting a hard reset. Hinduism, a whole different flavor. The world ends when we finish the Kali Yuga, basically Earth's worst season. Then Vishnu shows up riding a horse and nukes the timeline back to version 1.0. And then there's Ragnarok, the Norse gods' all-out brawl where a giant wolf eats the sun, the ocean swallows everything, and everyone dies in a blaze of screaming metal lyrics. The point is, no matter where you're from, your end-of-the-world story probably includes fire, floods, divine judgment, and a very convenient chosen few clause. It's always dramatic, rarely peaceful, and somehow every religion thinks it ends with them being totally right. Next up, let's check in with science. Spoiler, still bad. We all still die. If religion gives us fire and brimstone, science just gives us receipts, and they're not looking too great. Let's start with climate change. Oceans are rising, weather patterns are glitching, and apparently we needed billion-dollar wildfires to finally admit, hey, maybe the planet's mad at us. But sure, let's keep arguing about gas stoves. Nuclear war still hangs around too. Like that ex who swears they've changed, but some of the paint from your car is still in the teeth of her key. One mistake, one tantrum, and it's global toast. Asteroids? Statistically rare, but very much still a thing. Ask the dinosaurs. Oh wait, you can't. There's also the supervolcano under Yellowstone. If it blows, it's less oops and more sun-blocking ash cloud that ends modern agriculture. So that's fun. Then there's AI. Not killer robots, yet, but real concerns about handing over infrastructure to something that doesn't even need sleep, have empathy, or even take a lunch break. Pandemics? We just got a preview. Scientists are already clocking the next virus that could turn 2 weeks to flatten the curve into forever changed everything. And just to round it out, we've got solar flares. literal tantrums from the sun that could fry satellites, kill power grids, and absolutely wipe out communication. Basically Y2K, but for real this time. So yeah, no gods, no prophecies, just physics, biology, and the slow realization that Earth might be a bit of a drama queen. If science made you nervous, cults are here to finish the job, because nothing says trust me like a guy in a robe telling you the world's ending on Tuesday, and also he gets all your money. Cults love an apocalypse. It gives them a sense of urgency, control, and a built-in excuse for why nothing makes sense. They're like limited time offers. Join now or die confused later. Let's talk Heaven's Gate. The group believed Earth was about to be recycled, and the only escape was to hitch a ride on a spaceship hiding behind a comet. They wore identical clothes, lived off-grid, and, most tragically, died by suicide in hopes of catching the ride to the next level. Matching Nikes, exit videos, a belief system that sounds like a bad sci-fi but was terrifyingly real. Then there's Jonestown. What started as a socialist utopia developed into paranoia, abuse, and one of the largest mass deaths in modern history. Over 900 people died in the jungle after being manipulated into drinking poison flavor-aid, some by force. And no, it wasn't Kool-Aid. Let the record show even their final act was off-brand. Harold Camping, he predicted the rapture down to the date, twice. Spoiler, we're all still here, but not before thousands of followers gave up jobs, homes, and savings waiting for a deadline that never showed up. Basically the Y2K of religious prophecies, if Y2K had billboards and AM radio. And now, thanks to the internet, you've got a cultish end times content spreading in real time. QAnon, flat earth survivalists, TikTok preachers saying the world ends next month. There's always a new prophecy and always someone ready to believe it. Why? Because people crave certainty, especially in chaos. If someone tells you the world is ending, but I have the secret, it makes them feel safer. So yeah, whether it's a charismatic leader, a cosmic escape plan, or a Facebook group with a countdown, cults have always found ways to package fear as faith. And coming up next, what happens when the people with power start prepping for the end without telling the rest of us? Here's the thing. While the rest of us are stress Googling how long can canned beans last, there's a whole different crowd prepping for the end, and they're not exactly shopping at Costco. The tech elite aren't just thinking about doomsday, they're investing in it, hard. You've got billionaires buying land in remote parts of New Zealand like it's the last safe level in a video game. Underground bunkers with biometric locks, private airstrips, solar grids, and enough supplies to wait out whatever apocalypse they probably helped cause. It's not paranoia when you've seen the code, right? Some are even betting on off-planet survival, Mars colonies, space stations, uploading consciousness into the cloud like it's The Sims. They're not really interested in saving Earth, they're just trying to beat traffic when it all goes south. Then there's cryogenics, freezing themselves so that they can come back later when the Earth is fixed or fully gentrified by robots. Because nothing says hope like assuming the future has both medical miracles and a thaw cycle. And look, this isn't a sci-fi movie. These are real people with real money making real plans to survive something they don't think you will. They're not preaching doom like a cult leader on YouTube. They're just quietly building the lifeboat while smiling at us from the yacht. They're trying to preserve the VIP section. So while the world burns, floods, and tweets itself into a nervous breakdown, these guys are slipping out the back with a bag full of bitcoins and a backup generator named Hope. After all of that, religion, science, cults, billionaires, the question is, are we actually screwed? Short answer, maybe. Long answer, also maybe. The truth is, we don't really know how it ends. Not for sure. Could be fire, flood, alien tax audit. Pick your favorite. But the fact that we're obsessed with the end says more about us than it does about the world. We want meaning. We want answers. We want to feel like someone, anyone, has a plan. And when they don't, we make one up. Whether it's God, data, or a guy named Dave with a doomsday blog and a bunker in Montana. But here's the thing. if we're still here, the story isn't over. So maybe instead of waiting for the sky to fall, we try to un-F the mess we're already standing in. Or at the very least, keep asking questions while hoarding snacks, just in case. Thanks for listening to 10-Minute Mystery, where we try to unpack the weird, the mysterious, and apparently the apocalyptic. I'm Joe, the host, and whether the world ends in fire, ice, because I go ham about the Wi-Fi dropping out again, or an asteroid with our name on it, I'm glad we got to spend the few minutes thinking about it together. And if you're still here and not building a bunker or Googling how to make bread without electricity, do me a favor. Tap follow, subscribe, or whatever your app calls it, so that you don't miss the next episode. We've got plenty more stories about strange disappearances, secret histories, and of course, aliens. Catch up on all the past episodes of 10-Minute Mystery, or if you want something with a few more murders and a little less doomsday, check out 10-Minute Murder. You can find everything at 10minutemurder.com. Thank you for listening. We'll see you in the next one, unless, of course, the Yellowstone supervolcano gets us first. Bye.